Hey, Shalom, Israel. First off, I'd like to say, Call Halal, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Also, would like to say peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect, the Akim that's pushing his word in all sincerity and truth throughout the four corners of the earth. For the few sincere sisters who watch and believe, Shalom to you as well. Shalom to all of the new believers and new fruit and viewership that's coming into this faith. I just want to do a lesson just going into the friction between the Israelite man and Israelite woman, mainly here in Great Babylon, which is America, because on this YouTube platform called, I think it's Fresh and Fit, you had these guys, they made some comments towards the black woman and went on to say how they prefer not to date the so-called black woman. And really, in this new climate that we're in, that's been the sentiment of a lot of men. You even have this video where this one Jake, and when I say Jake, I'm talking about the Israelite man, the so-called black, Latino, and Native American man. You have this one Israelite man, I believe he's out in Thailand, and basically he's having the time of his life with a woman that's Taiwanese. So a lot of Israelite men, just because of the attitude and just the way that the so-called black woman acts, they've decided to basically go to the other side, so to speak. Now, me personally, for myself, I've always just, since I was young enough to have an affinity towards a woman, I've always had a preference for an Israelite woman, more so out of the Southern Kingdom, the so-called Negroes, West Indians, and so-called Haitian women. But to each his own, because I understand, more so when I came into this truth, why things are the way that they are. But there's a heavy friction between our men and our women. And especially when it comes to our women, I don't want to say hate, but they have a strong disliking towards our men, and they openly proclaim it amongst other people, and it's vice versa. A lot of men today, they are, so-called bashing the so-called black woman. But when I really think about it, it is saddening at the end of the day, because we're supposed to be one people, which I know that things are not going to be set right until Great Babylon, America, is destroyed and we're set back in rulership in the kingdom. Then our women are going to be back on our team, so to speak. But it's just sad to just see just the fracture in the relationship between the Israelite man and the woman. And the truth of the matter is, because we're under curses, we always have to go into the curses in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, because when you go into these curses in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, that helps us also clearly identify who the Israelites are today. Because you got bug outs that are making videos that's saying, we always bring out the fact that it talks about the Israelites would go into slavery to prove that we're the Israelites. Now, that's just one main indicator among many things that we can use to prove who the true children of Israel are. But I just want to point out that fracture in the relationship between the Israelite man and the Israelite woman is because of disobedience against the law, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father. So that breach is not going to be fixed on this side, sad to say. So without further ado, I'm going to just start off here in Deuteronomy 28:1. It says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth." And this is, Deuteronomy is part of the Torah. It's one of the first 5 books of Moses. And these were instructions that the Most High, through Moses, gave to the children of Israel. It tells you in Psalms 147:19 that the Most High, he gave his laws and his statutes to the nation of Israel. He have not dealt so with any other nation. I'm loosely paraphrasing that. So we were given laws, statutes, and commandments to set us up to be high above all nations on the planet Earth. And the reason why we were to be separate and holy as a people above all nations on the earth is because the Most High gave us laws. We had the way to govern ourselves as a nation, and we're so far removed from that way. And that's why we're in the predicament unto this day. Even when you go into other countries, like, certain Caribbean countries, if you maybe go to like places like maybe like Denmark and even maybe some places like in Europe, the so-called black communities, they're more together. The men, the relationship between the men and women is more unity. But mostly here, in Great Babylon, America, it's completely fractured, man. And all the other nations can see it, man, But I'm going to just jump down. So the Most High basically said, if we were to hearken diligently unto the laws and commandments, that we were to be above all nations on the planet. But I'm going to jump down to the flip side of the coin. Deuteronomy 28:15, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So we always have to go into the fact that the nation of Israel, we're cursed as a nation. And you can't deny it at this point. We're cursed as a nation of people. We don't have any collective unity between our men and women. Everyone's bickering back and forth about who does this manner of behavior or who does that manner of behavior. We can sit there and point the finger all day. And I'm just going to be truthfully honest. It's a lot of things about the so-called black women that just irks me to the core. Like mainly their attitude, and then just their lack of being feminine, and their lack of being submissive, and their unwillingness to want to be cooperative to the Israelite man. But on the flip side of the token, I can understand the so-called black women's sentiment towards the black men. Saying, they say most black men ain't shit. When you want to look at the number of so-called black men, or I'll just say Israelite men, that are locked up in these prisons, that are just having these dead-end jobs where they can't really earn to take care of their family and take care of their children, not paying child support, this, that, and the third. We can just go through the laundry list of things that so-called black women can make valid complaints against the black men about. But either way, it can go on. The point, the finger point, it can just go on all day. But the reason why we're in this situation is because of these curses. That's the point. And I'm going to just go into some of these curses here. I'm going to jump down to verse 30. For, any new viewership that's coming into this faith and watching the videos, you definitely want to make it a priority to read Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the entire chapter. But for time's sake, I'm going to just jump to verse 30. It says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. And this happened during slavery. We would have wives, but then the slave master, he would come skipping his ass, to the shack where the slaves were, and he was popping our women, man. And then he would send her back to her husband, man. So just to try to imagine just the level of just your dignity just being stripped away from you, and your sense of just being a man and being able to protect your woman. And then on the flip side, the woman looking at her man like he's not a man. She feels that she has no protection. And there's a saying, I hear a lot of people saying that, so-called black women, nope, they don't really have anybody to protect them. But this all started because of the damn devil. Esau, Edom, the nation of Edom, who had us in captivity, that they started the breach and the fracture in the relationship between the Israelite man and the woman. But it was all set up through the Most High. Esau, Edom, the nation of Edom, they've been used as a whipping stick by the Most High, but to punish us for our disobedience. But I'll read verse 30 again. It says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. And that's the history of the Israelites, especially here in America. We built up this place, and we didn't reap any of the benefits for building up this place for free. planting everything, all of the vineyards for all of the people, the plantation masters that was in power to reap all the benefits of our hard labor. I'll skip to verse 32. It says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. So you would have had, maybe like you had some children, your sons and your daughters. Maybe your son, he might get, what's the word I'm looking for? He may get sold to a plantation in North Carolina, and your daughter, she might get sold to a plantation in Virginia. So breaking up our families to where the man and the woman, the husband and the wife, they didn't have any might to be able to change that situation, man. So just that dynamic over the course of time, that just basically perpetuated the divide and the fracture in our relationship today, man. It says, I'm going to jump down some more. I'm just hitting points like I'm saying. I'm going to jump down to 54. Deuteronomy 28 and 54, it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother. And we can see that today, man. A lot of the times, especially, in the hood, or not even in the hood, when you see Israelite men in the presence of one another, there's evil eyes towards one another. It's like that I wish a ninja would type of spirit, that on sight type of spirit. Like you got these young Israelite men, they calling each other the ops. When we're supposed to be one nation, it's supposed to be unity, right? But that's all due to the curses, having evil eyes towards your brother. And it says, and toward the wife of his bosom. So even in the household, man. And then we can even go up, we can speed it up, going into the 1960s, where Esau completely broke up the little bit of structure that we did have in the house through the feminist movement, man, by so-called liberating our women, man. So that basically caused the divide between the dynamic relationship between the man and the woman. It says, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother and toward the wife of his bosom and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he have nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. Verse 56, it says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter. And that's what we have going on today. The eye of the husband, or the eye of the wife, is evil towards the husband. And the eye of the wife it even extends to the children, towards the son and the daughter, because the woman, she'll have a certain negative feeling about her son and her daughter if the relationship with the man didn't go right. She'll be like, you look just like your damn daddy, or you acting just, So I'm going to continue on. Or actually, that was a point. Let me read that part again, actually. It says, the tender and delicate, verse 56, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her son of Salakia, her eyes shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter. Because our women, they were supposed to be delicate. They were supposed to be feminine women. Now you have a lot of alpha females right there now that are bucking up against their men, swinging and hitting on their men. And it's all due to these curses, man. And just having evil eyes towards your husband, the husband having evil eyes towards his wife. It's just a complete divide in the Israelite households. But it all just starts between that dynamic in the relationship between our men and our women, going back to these curses. And Esau, Edom, the powers to be, they know that this is the case, man. That's why they set up a system to lock our men up, to basically get our men in the system, get felonies to where it makes it difficult for them to get a high paying job to where they can sustain their family, and further perpetuate certain stereotypes and just have that stigma implanted in the minds of our women that our men ain't worth a damn, man. So now Esau Edom, in his system, he empowers the woman like we always go into. She thinks she's the head of the household, to where the women really have that attitude in their mind that they don't need a man, which in the times that we coming into now, and just that first lockdown in 2020, that was a glimpse for a lot of these women that you gonna need a man when, SHIT hits the fan, so to speak. But just through that false reality, that synthetic reality that Esau has set up in this matrix, man, women have been empowered to think that they don't need a man. They got that saying, I can do bad all by myself. So a lot of women, I'm talking about the so-called black women, when they look at a lot of black men, they really have a venomous spirit towards the black man, and they ain't gonna hide it. They want they want the so-called black man to know without a shadow of doubt that they not feeling them, man. And I'm gonna just say, for the most part, because you have a lot of people that'll say, well, it's not always like that, But like Kevin Samuel says, that's just anecdotal evidence, man. I'm talking about a majority of our women, man. They not feeling the Israelite man, and they want to make it known that that's the case, man. And vice versa. You got a lot of men today that are having these sentiments about the Israelite women. They want to date so-called white women and all these other nations, man, just because they feel that the so-called black woman, she just cannot, you just can't get along with her. Her attitude is just too damn bad, man. So just to weigh it in the balance, I can understand both sides. And the friction is saddening at times, man, just to have to witness it day for day. And Esau, he thrives off of just that confusion and just that fractured relationship between the Israelite man and the Israelite woman, man. But I'm going to get this right here in Isaiah 3:12. It says, as for my people, children are their oppressors. And that's talking about Esau, Edom, because the Edomites, they come from us. The Esau, he came from Isaac, our forefather Isaac. So it says, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. So women are set up. They're given empowerment to rule over the Israelite man, having charge in the household. Esau, Edom, would rather give a high-paying job to the Israelite woman and have the Israelite man just out there struggling, to where in his household, he really can't even be a man. Because women, at the end of the day, they don't really respect a man that's not a man, that's not holding the house down, that's not really taking care of things. If a woman is having to toil and take care of a majority of the financial responsibilities to carry a household, she's not going to really respect her man. That's just the truth of the matter. And it's been systematically set up that way. And our women resent their men because it's been that way, that they're having to basically bear the burden of the load in a lot of cases. It says, as for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. And that's why here in this Generation Z, a lot of the Israelite young males, the young boys, they're more emotional and effeminate than ever. They're just completely bugged out of their mind, man. Because why? Women have been set up to lead the household, which that leads to error, and it destroys the way of thy paths, man. So you can just clearly see that we're under these curses, man. And when you're watching YouTube, depending on which platform you watch, you got certain, I know it's called a manosphere, where you have these red pill guys and, just other guys that You know, the men going their own way, MGTOW, all of these different movements, whether they ain't dealing with women entirely, or men who are just on the campaign to not deal with the so-called black woman. And then you got a lot of women platform who are just on that whole campaign of men ain't shit. You know, I mean, I'm talking about the so-called black men, and we ain't really riding with them. And just this open hatred, man, it's a clear just fracture in that dynamic between the Israelite man and the Israelite woman. And these other nations can see that, man. And it's really shameful at the end of the day. It's really shameful at the end of the day. So with all being said, this is just a quick lesson, just because I was just watching some YouTube videos earlier in the night. I was just like thinking, man, it's nothing but a back and forth. There's nothing but a big tit for tat when you get the perspective of the Israelite man, or whether you get the perspective of the Israelite woman, man. It could just go back and forth, man. We can all just go on all day tit for tat, just, you know, with negative energy and negative trains of thoughts about one another. But everything is going to be restored once the damn devil is put out of power and a righteous kingdom is set up to where the Israelite man is going to have sovereignty. And our women going to be back in order, man. And our women are going to respect our men. And they're going to look at our men, you know, as gods. Because a woman is supposed to look at her man as God, as Abraham, or as Sarah called Abraham Lord. Those ways is going to be reintroduced back into the earth. So with all being said, Lord willing, this made sense and edified. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect.